The LAPD warns residents, tourists, not to flash jewelry as robberies rise. Which, this kind of defeats the whole purpose of even, getting jewelry. Is like, wow, our area is so dangerous. We can't have people showing things that they worked hard for and bought. Like, how absurd is that? So don't flash those expensive diamonds and watches while shopping in Los Angeles, cops warn. An uptick in violent robberies in the Melrose district and other surrounding areas prompted the Los Angeles Police Department to issue the somber warning over the weekend. On July 14th, two masked men attempted to steal an expensive watch from a store on Melrose Avenue, according to NBC News. The next day, three armed men stole a watch from a couple walking in the usually quiet area of Harper and Rosewood Avenues. Police are still searching for suspects involved in those two separate incidents. LAPD issued an alert informing people who frequent Melrose, the downtown Los Angeles jewelry district, and surrounding areas where assailants are following and violently attacking innocent shoppers. By the way, I am not too familiar with Los Angeles, but I do believe Melrose Avenue is where really expensive shopping stores are. I'm pretty certain the jewelry stores there are basically where they probably sell watches in the six figures, where they sell jewelry in the six figures plus, right? And I'm pretty certain typically there's always Lambos, Rolls Royces, and all that kind of stuff parked on Melrose Avenue. I'm pretty certain about that. But think about that, right? I find it interesting, right? Where you have a state like California, where there's so many rich people that actually live there, with such a high crime rate. And yet, if you were to look towards Dubai, who have far more rich people there, where people are driving Bugattis on the regular, and their crime is basically non-existent. You could drive your Bugatti, you could drive your Ferrari, you could drive your Lamborghini, right? You could have a 5 million, 10 million, 20 million dollar watch on you and not even bat an eye or have a bead of sweat drop from your forehead in terms of you being scared of you getting robbed or something, because the safety in Dubai, with that crazy amount of net worth over there, with the crazy amount of money over there, is nothing. Like the crime rate is nothing. It is a very safe area. But in California, the crime rate is so high. It's just crazy to see. So officials suggest residents and tourists should not wear their jewelry or display expensive watches and purses when going to these areas and high-end restaurants, bars, and clubs. And the reason for this is because also there's probably criminals singling out people who are leaving these restaurants, bars, and clubs. They're like, oh, this thing costs $500 a meal. The people that are coming out of it probably are wearing a 20, 30 grand watch at minimum. They are probably driving a really expensive car. We could probably tell them and probably go to their house and steal from them and all that kind of stuff, right? And the reason why I say that is that there's been reports of that exact thing happening in California, where people literally get stalked by criminals. The criminals follow them to their home, which could be in a gated community or basically where they have a gate to their mansion, and they rush in before the gate closes and rob them. Like, it is such a dangerous area now. And the fact that there's still so many very wealthy individuals living in California thinking that's a smart decision, like, hey, if you're that rich, how about you, I don't know, pay to leave the area? And also think about it, right? Like you're paying like a crazy amount of taxes in California for what? You're not paying for security. You're not paying for good quality of life if you have to be worried about getting robbed, right? Definitely not for health because there's so many people living on the streets, so there's so many diseases getting spread around. There's needles everywhere. Like what are you paying for? Like what are your taxes paying for? Literally move to any other state and you'd probably be okay. So LAPD's recent alert comes a year after the department issued similar warnings concerning smash and grab and follow home robberies, like I just mentioned, happening around the Melrose, Fairfax, and Beverly Hills areas. On April 10th, an armed man shot at a store owner who was wearing a Rolex as he was walking in an alley near his store on the Melrose district at around 6 p.m. Surveillance cameras caught the moment when suspect Jamario Kevin Ray, 22, allegedly shot at the man, who then ran into the Gentry Carb store. Ray was arrested a few days later and was charged with attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. His next hearing is scheduled on Wednesday. Isn't that kind of funny, in this state, right, where in California, right, where this happened, that you have a criminal in the possession of an illegal firearm that he is not legally allowed to have, illegally using it in an illegal act. Interesting. Looks like laws don't really matter to criminals. The LAPD cited an ongoing crime trend of follow home robberies. Oh, so this is actually like a community alert. So this is a community alert notification from the police department. Due to an increase in violent street robberies, Robbery Homicide Division has become aware of an ongoing crime trend of follow home robberies. Suspects have been locating victims in Los Angeles, following them, and then committing the robberies as the victim arrives home or at their business. Victims have been followed from such places like Melrose Avenue, the Jewelry District of Los Angeles, nightclubs, and high-end restaurants in Los Angeles, and the target of these robberies has been expensive jewelry, including watches and necklaces, as well as expensive purses. Victims have also been targeted based on the type of vehicle they are driving. Three of these crimes have occurred throughout the city of Los Angeles as well as neighboring cities, and different suspects have been identified and arrested for these types of crimes. The following are recommendations for community members. Be aware of one's surrounding for anything unusual or out of the ordinary before exiting your car, walking out of a restaurant, stores, malls, or clubs. Be cautious of displaying high value property in public, such as purses, watches, and jewelry. Record and report suspicious activity to the police. Write down suspicious suspect vehicle descriptions, which is like kind of funny because in California, what are the cops going to do? What power do they actually have? Because in California, even if you have people stealing from a store up to like $997, guess what? That's not really that illegal. It is illegal, but not really that illegal, right? Like this is just crazy. If you're driving and believe you're being followed, dial 911 and if possible, drive to the nearest police station. But here's the thing, how many people even trust the police in California? You have a very left leaning political base in California who hate the police, okay? Who are very against the police in practically every sense. Do you think that they're going to go to the police? Do you think that they're going to call the police? Do you think that they're going to engage with the police? If you're being robbed, do not resist the robbery suspects. Cooperate and comply with their demands. Be a good witness. This is a big problem as well, right? Because think about it. You are a law abiding citizen who probably leans left in California. You don't have any firearm on you because you are very left leaning in California. So you're now faced with an issue where you are being physically threatened, potentially lethally threatened, by criminals, and you have no way to defend yourself. Like, that is a very, very bad situation because the reality is that criminal could probably do whatever they want to you and you have no choice. Like, that is a very dark situation. After a robbery, immediately call the police department by dialing 911. Immediately write down everything you can remember about the crime, suspects, and suspect vehicle. The thing is, you also gotta hope that you would actually survive this whole encounter as well. What is to stop these criminals from literally ending people's lives? Nothing. Like, what would stop them? Do not chase or follow the robbery suspect out of your place of business or home. Leave the job of catching the suspects to the police. Again, another problem with this is in California. How many people trust the police in California? Practically no one. Like, that is crazy. So officers are still searching for two additional suspects involved in that April 10th attempted robbery. The store owner's brother, Anquan Hayden, told CBS News that the incident has jarred his entire family. We all want to wear our watch, we all want to wear our jewelry, but we might have to leave that stuff at home, Hayden said. We have to, maybe, because it's just not worth anyone's lives. And this is the thing. I agree. Wearing a nice watch is not worth your life. But living in a state where you have to be afraid to even wear a watch that you worked hard to earn is absurd, right? If you worked hard for something and you want to celebrate it and like admire it because you're like, you know what? I worked hard for this. I deserve to wear this whenever I want to wear it, right? You should feel safe enough in the state that you live in the city that you live in, to wear your luxury item, right? It's like basically trying to tell someone like, hey, you did good in school, you worked hard at your job, you created a nice business for yourself, you did a side hustle, you paid off your debt, all that sort of stuff. Oh, and by the way, we're just not gonna, we're going to suggest to you to not buy that nice house that you really want to buy because you're now qualified to buy it now, because it might get robbed, because people are like targeting nice homes now. Like, what? Like, that is just so stupid. Like, everyone with the means to should leave California. What is the purpose of you living in California when you have money, when you have to deal with this? Like, if you're making $100,000 a year plus after taxes, leave California. There's no reason why you should stay in California if this is what you got to deal with, right? If you literally got to be afraid of wearing a nice watch out in public, right? Because guess what? Do you think criminals are just going to like know for a fact that you're wearing a nice watch? You could be wearing like a $10 fake gold watch, and a criminal might be thinking, "Oh, that dude's wearing like a $5,000 to $10,000 watch. Let's go attack them. Let's go rob them." Like, you're at risk no matter what you do by staying in this area. You need to leave. Like, the best financial decision is to leave this area. The best safety situation is to leave this area. The best longevity in every aspect is to leave this area. Like, why stay in California? Why stay in Los Angeles if you gotta be worried about this as like a normal occurrence? So let's check out some of the comments. Perhaps if criminals were prosecuted, this wouldn't be happening. You get what you vote for. Well, hold on, 7 new comments. Let's check this out. Trey, Devontae, Laquanda, Shaqueda, Ray, Too Lazy, Flat Fee, CEO. I have no clue what that's about. Good job, GasCon. This is outrageous. How about them doing their freaking job and locking up criminals and prosecute them? These woke Democrats are destroying cities across America, US. Liberal policies and lawmakers won't prosecute in LA. They consider it racist and transphobic. So make sure Glock, Smith, Ruger, Colt, Rock River are with you. The problem with this statement is that California is does not make it easy for law-abiding citizens to carry firearms. But isn't LA in California, which according to the governor, a model-free state? It is a model of how not to run a state. I'm packing a pistol. Come rob me. It will be his, her last. I have a better idea. Why don't tourists avoid toilet bowls like LA, New York, etc.? There's plenty of nice places left in the country. I agree, right? If you're gonna like visit someplace, how about visit someplace that's like nice that you don't gotta be afraid of getting robbed? Another feather in GasCon's cap. When traveling to California, please don't tempt our poor criminals with the expensive trinkets you worked hard for. It's not fair to our downtrodden citizens. Elect Newsom in 2024. Look at what a fine job of governance he's doing. The only flash the leftist protected miscreant class respects is a muzzle flash. Welcome to LA, now go home. And again, I personally just view this as like a really sad situation. Like, for you to like have to be afraid of simply wearing items that you worked hard for is crazy. Like, that is just so messed up. Like, if you worked hard for something, you should be allowed to feel safe enough to just simply wear it. Imagine just spending like, I don't know, like $50 on a super nice hat that you really like or a nice pair of jeans. You should be allowed to wear that without feeling afraid, right? Like, it's just sad. It's really sad to see. If you want to learn how to get out of debt and master your money, go to 40inbox.com. Feel free to give your thoughts on this. I just think it's a sad situation.